Howdy, everybody. And I want to say howdy to Gizzard Gary.
Well, howdy, Hillbilly. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing good, buddy. I hope
Good.
you're having a wonderful day. I know we don't live too awful far from each other, and we got great weather today. So that's a good sign.
We're in the same geographical region, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, different states, but yeah, not too awful far.
Not too far.
Well, man, thank you so much for being here on
You
this
bet.
podcast show. And man, I've known Gizzard for quite a while now, and ever since I started getting into the world of YouTube, and we've been good friends and all that, and so I'm really happy to have him on here. So Gizzard, well, your name's Gary, and so let me look here. So tell us like what your YouTube channel is and stuff.
Well, obviously, my YouTube channel is called Gizzard Gary, and it's basically what I call it now. It is EDC reviews and live stream 2A live streams, and I've got it titled "New Gear, Old Wisdom."
All right.
And then follow that up with "Always Be Prepared." So that's kind of the theme of my channel. All kinds of new stuff. I review knives, flashlights, sometimes gun equipment and stuff like that. And we like to talk about it once a week on my live stream, plus 2A issues. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, and a great channel, so make sure you go over and check out Gizzard Gary's channel.
Thank you.
Great deal. I mean, you probably do more knife reviews than probably any of my friends, or like most people I see. You get some really, really nice knives, and so I'm always checking that out.
Thank you.
So tell us, how'd you get started on YouTube?
How did I get started on YouTube? Well, it all started way back. Well, I guess it started in 2014, 2015 when my daughter wanted to buy a pistol. And I didn't know anything about handguns at the time. So I started getting on the internet because I was a big internet guy. And it's like you can find information on anything on the internet. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that. And got to subscribe to a lot of gun channels back in the day, Yankee Marshall, people like that, all the big ones, Hickok, people like that. And then in 2017, I'd been into it a couple of years, and I started watching Never Enough Ammo. And there was this panelist he had on there by the name of Gun Websites. We call it G-Webs now, but he had a firearms website that he had created. It was called gunchannels.com. And you could become a member there and stuff. And they had kind of social media stuff. You could get to meet people and stuff like that. And they did live streams, open lobbies that you could just jump on and talk to people. They weren't on the air. They were off air lobbies and stuff.
Yeah.
But you'd get on there and you'd learn how to use. We didn't have StreamYard back in those days. It was Google Studio, which became YouTube Studio, and then pretty much went away. But they encouraged people. The whole theme of it was that you don't have to be a career YouTuber to make a YouTube video. That anybody with a camera or a phone or anything like that, tell your story. Get on there, create a channel. Tell your story about firearms and stuff, because anybody's experience is valuable out there. So I kind of got that message along with a bunch of other people who were just starting out at the time. Some names now, like CloverTac and Ghost Tactical and stuff, they were all fairly new at the time too. We all started about the same time. And we all became creators and followed each other. We started doing live streams about the next year or so. And I did that while I was working. I retired at the end of 2022, so I pretty much went, I guess, quote unquote, full time. I don't know if I work any harder now, but it's all I do. So this is something to keep me busy now in my retirement and to have a purpose. So that's how I got started, and that's why I'm here, basically.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, just a cell phone and a story, and that can get a person started.
If I can be on YouTube, anybody can be a YouTube. Because when I watch myself on camera and listen to myself, I think I'm the goofiest person in the world. Why would anybody watch anything I do or watch my live streams? But I started doing live streams and I noticed people were watching and people were having a good time. And it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I must be doing something right. So
Yeah,
I don't have a huge channel, but I've got a few devoted followers, and that's really all I care about. We have fun, and I enjoy it. So
that is awesome. Yeah, it's just fun the fact that I find with it. Yeah, I'm talking about goofy. I mean, I still don't know why anybody would watch my channel. I'm just a little hillbilly, but anyway, the fun factor, it's so much fun getting to know people like in the community, and other people like they might be just started out a YouTube channel, a year ago or 6 months ago or something, and somehow your paths cross through YouTube, and you end up becoming friends. I mean, I have so many friends, from social media, or through YouTube. It's just a great deal.
I think
And
the hard part when you first get started, you see all these people, all these big YouTubers and stuff like that, and these people who are out there, and you think, well, these are all big deal people and stuff like that. Then once you get a chance to meet a few YouTubers, you realize these are just people, you know. Uh, most of us don't do only this. I mean, I do other things too, but at one time I had a full-time job and did this. And we've got people who are teachers, people who work in gun shops, farmers, um,
yeah,
like Pat in a bunker.
yeah,
You've got construction people like the gun snob who also has a farm where he raises cattle and stuff like that.
yeah,
And he has a very successful YouTube channel. So
yeah.
where you see us on YouTube and you think this is all we do, but no, we have regular lives, we have families, like you and me, we have kids and grandkids and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that. We have bills to pay. We're just like everybody else. We got the high gas prices. We complain about it too. We ain't rich like he's on TV, he's got to be rich. It's not that way. Not this YouTuber anyway.
yeah,
Let's put it that way.
yeah. Especially if you're in the 2A community.
No,
Yeah,
that's another thing. People think you're 2A, you're a gun guy, you're this certain thing, you walk around in camo all the time, and it's
yeah,
like, no, we're just regular people like anybody else. You probably couldn't pick us out on the street unless you knew what you were looking for, just everyday
exactly,
people living everyday lives.
exactly. And you've got to meet some, fairly bigger, what we would call a big YouTube person, like, in other words, their channels, got a lot of subscribers and stuff like that. And through various get togethers, you've got to meet, you know, big time YouTubers.
I've met, like I say, Never Enough Ammo. He was actually at Tulsa at the Wanamaker Arm Show in 2018 when we had a gun channels get together. And there were 30 of us there, and he was one of them that was there. I've met Guns and Gadgets I met him at SHOT Show, and I've seen him at different things and stuff, and people like that.
Hmm.
Uh, Cheryl Todd, I've met Cheryl Todd and stuff.
Yeah.
Tony Simon, you know, Tony Simon, all great people. When you shake their hand and look them in the eye, you realize this is just a person in front of you. So that makes it easier to know, well, you might not be as big a channel as they are, but they still got to get up and put their pants on in the morning just like you do. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, all of them I've met pretty good people, different personalities. Obviously, all people have different
Oh
personalities.
yeah.
And there may be some YouTubers out there who have gotten so big that I've met a few of them that, they walk around with an entourage. They've got 3 or 4 guys with them, cameras surrounding them. They don't even carry their own cameras. They got a crew to do that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when they walk into a gun booth, everybody else gets out of their way so they can have it all to themselves. It's like, oh, it's that person. But
Yeah.
most of us go to a show and just walk around, phone in our hands, and do our stuff.
Yeah.
Much like you would if you were taking a video and putting it on TikTok or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Yeah. The only entourage I got is this Gator.
Yeah.
I don't trust him with much.
I don't blame you there.
Oh man, yeah, that's it's really neat. Also, to meet people like that you think, oh man, kind of like a superstar of social media somewhere. Regardless, what gender they're at. If it's 2A or music or whatever, and it's really cool to meet somebody like that and find out, man, they're just a down to earth person, no different than any of the rest of us. And so,
especially if you see them a second time and they remember your name, that's
mm-hmm.
impressive. When they say hi to you, it's like, hi, Gary. And it's like, oh, cool. You know who I am. Yeah. And that happens. Yeah. I've had it happen with Mr. Big Kid before. I've seen him many times. Very friendly guy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and that's something terrible for me because I'm terrible remembering names. I remember faces. I mean, and
I'm more likely to remember your YouTube channel than I would be your real name. Most people just call me Gizzard and people on YouTube and stuff. Now around my hometown, they don't, but
yeah, even singers, it's like sometimes you can't remember a, famous singing artist and you're like, oh, they had that song such and such, it's like, the recognition. So with me, and so sometimes the names are like, mass hard, or spelling's hard for me, all that stuff. So trying to add names on top of that, Oh my goodness.
Yeah, wait till you get old. It gets even worse. Then the memory starts going. Then you're in trouble.
So, Gary, if you don't care to, or if you want to, share to us all just a little bit of like kind of your background, like where you grew up at, and all that stuff.
I grew up in what I'd say is a small town in eastern Kansas, east central Kansas, name of Burlington, which the only claim to fame they have is it's pretty close to where they built the state's only nuclear power plant. So if you run into somebody else in Kansas and they don't know where you're from, it's like, well, I'm close to the nuclear plant. Then they know what you're talking about. So, because we only have the one and stuff like that. But believe it or not, it's the biggest city in the county, but it's around 2,500 people, which in Kansas is still a small town, but big enough, we have courthouse and stuff like that. We actually have traffic signals and stuff like that too.
Well, you got my town beat by sure.
And a downtown and stuff like that, but it's not super huge. But I lived here most of my life, born and raised here, lived in the same town till I was 24, and then I moved 30 miles away to a smaller town.
Packed suitcase and moved, huh?
I moved back in actually, I was in my 30s. I lied. I was 34 when I moved. And it was to a town of 1,000 people, which, believe it or not, it was also the county seat of that county. And I lived there until I moved back here in 2016. So I've been back home here a while now. So, and moved back to my hometown, got an apartment, and after I retired, it's like, this is where I was born and raised, and it's where I feel comfortable. You walk into a store, you're liable to run into people you meet. People know your name and stuff
or
like that.
maybe
So,
you went to school with,
oh, it happens.
Yeah,
It happens a lot, believe it or not.
yeah, it does for me too. Yeah, that's you know, I love the small towns, and um, I grew up in one. That's all I knew, and of course, as a teenager, I was like, well, need to get out of Hickville here and go do something. But then when I did travel for work, all I did is just miss home. It's
Well,
like
see,
I miss the small town
I
atmosphere.
I actually, when I was 19 years old, I moved down to live with my sister down in Austin, Texas, and I stayed down there about 6 months. And it's like, I'm not a city boy. It's just not for me. So I moved back here, and at the ripe age, I just turned 20, and the nuclear power plant I was talking about, I happened to get a job there. Because my dad was after me to get a job, because I was living back at home. And he said, well, you ought to stay there a little bit. Well, I stayed there almost 43 years. I was about 2 months shy of 43 years out
Wow.
there, and retired at age 62. But I worked various jobs out there. I was a clerk for a while, and then I worked in document control and records management for about 20 years. Then I moved into IT, and I became a support technician. So I basically answered phones and did computer troubleshooting, set up new computers and stuff like that, which I really loved doing that because I'm of the age we didn't have really computers in our house growing up and stuff. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But once we started getting them out at work, I found that I really liked doing computer stuff and I was pretty good at it. So I eventually self-taught myself to do an awful lot of things that now you'd go to school for. But back in
Yeah.
my day, you just pick stuff up. And I'm pretty good at picking stuff up, and if not, I'll go online or read the help documentation and find out how to do this or that. Mom used to make fun of me every time we'd get a car. We'd be on a trip somewhere, and I'd get the manual out of the glove box and start reading it. And I'd tell my folks things. Mom would say, well, you know about more about this car than we do. Well, it's all right here. I just like to look up things and figure out how to. It's kind of part of my personality. So,
Yeah, nowadays instead of read, we can watch a video on
yeah, nowadays, yeah.
So worked at the nuclear power plant for that long of a time. Um, I'm sure a lot of us wonder how dangerous is that? And, like if we were going to move close to one, or say we lived in an area and they were like wanting to put one in somewhere around our area, even if it's 100 miles away or 50 miles away or next door. um since you've been there that long, I figure you have more experience about that than anybody I know. So I think people might want to know.
Well, for one thing, if I was worried about it, I wouldn't have continued to live. I'm still within 10 miles of it right now. If it was dangerous, I'd have moved the heck out of here once I
so,
retired. But
so Homer Simpson's not sitting in the control room eating donuts with a big red button or nothing. I
I,
mean,
I, nuclear power plants are highly regulated. There's safety measure upon safety measure, measuring devices and stuff. So the workers are highly trained. It's all government regulated and stuff like that. So when we had to work anywhere near the radiation, we had to go through special training on how to handle that, where you could go, where you couldn't go, how long you could stay in certain places and stuff. And you had to, as a nuclear power plant worker, they give you a lot of education about radiation and stuff like that.
hmm.
So the more once you have the knowledge, it's not so much fear, it's just okay, wisdom. You can do this, you can't do that, and stuff like that. But as far as the surrounding environment and stuff like that, this is beautiful country. We have lakes, we got farms, small towns and schools. And in the event of anything happening around here, they are required by law to have planning. So they do what they call emergency planning. So
Hmm.
they've got a plan to evacuate the school if anything happened, this or that. You have to do that. So, notification systems. Everybody has tone alert radios and stuff like that. Well, now it's cell phone notification. Back in the old days, you got the tone alert radios and put in your house, but now you just sign up for a text and you get a text, or
Yeah.
you know, your phone goes crazy if something happens. But it's never happened. I
Yeah.
mean, the plant went commercial in 1985, which is over 40 years ago.
Wow.
So they've
Yeah.
been producing power for all this time. By the way, they produce enough power at the plant I worked at to power the cities of Kansas City and Wichita, plus a good bit of the rural environment around here.
Oh, wow.
So if you're watching a football game at Arrowhead Stadium and you see it all lit up at night, a nice night game, we made that. You know,
You made
I,
that.
I can take pride in that electricity. It's like I used to help make that stuff. So,
That's
and,
awesome.
and now I'm a consumer.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's nice to know. I mean, so I assume that text message now just says run or it's too late. I mean,
It would be an EAS notification now, much
yeah,
like your Amber Alerts and everything else.
yeah,
But they have we used to get phone books. It would have evacuation zones. If you're in this part of the city, here's how you get out of town. If you're in this part of the country or in this part of the county, you've got to take the highway north.
yeah.
So they've got it all divided. These people go here, these people go here, and they block off all the side roads. So they make sure they're getting everybody out, and then they have to actually go through. They've got schools, planning and stuff, and they
A
actually
lot of
go
protocol.
through. They'll go through the city and make sure everybody's out of here. Has it ever happened? No. Do they practice it? Yes.
Wow, that's
They have
great to
drill.
know.
They're required to have a drill once a year to prove you can carry out the emergency plan. So they
Yeah.
do have mock emergencies and stuff like that.
Well, it's
So,
nice that they already got a traffic board set up so everybody's not trying to go the same way.
well, you got people coming from out of the state too. The highway patrol comes, National Guard comes, and stuff
Yeah.
because the state emergency operations center is involved in it too. So,
Hmm.
so it's county, state, and all kinds of people involved in it, and
Well,
they have to participate in the drills each year too. So,
well, that's good to know. I mean, real good to know. And yeah, I've always heard that. Like, I mean, I know it's just a saying, but they say like a coffee cup of nuclear. If you had like a regular coffee cup, you know, if you had it full of nuclear energy, you could power like New York for a certain amount of time. I mean, I know it's not it don't make much sense, but I guess that's just trying to say this is what it can do and what it's how it takes less of it to do way more than when we get to our like say solar panels and maybe wind farms
right.
and stuff like that. So
But as far as danger to you, you're probably in more danger getting chest X-rays or being out in the sun too long, or having an old smoke alarm in your house and stuff. You'd be surprised how many things are actually sources of radiation. And they
well,
used to have this thing. They told us how much what they call background radiation. That's the amount of radiation everybody gets,
yeah,
regardless of where you work. And they said if you work out in the plant and you do this or that, it's going to be far below what background radiation is. So you're going to get some radiation in the life, whether you like
yeah.
it or not. It's part of this world. So,
Well, I guess back in the day, like they used to have these step things you stand on for like to measure your feet for shoes and all that. And then they found out, oh, wait a minute, that does radiation.
oh yeah, fluoroscopes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you
I,
had the old days, if you had a watch dial that glowed in the dark, that was probably painted with radium paint, which is radioactive too. But yeah, every smoke alarm has a little bit of radiation in it. That's how they work, by the way.
Yeah,
So,
ain't that something? We're around it every day and don't know it.
yep, you are.
And of course, everybody's got a microwave in their house, and
Right.
so, but that's awesome. Good stuff there, buddy. I'm glad you shared that with us. And so my next deal is what suggestions? I know, like, we kind of sprinted over this right there at the beginning, but for people that they might think, well, I would want to start a YouTube channel, but man, I got to get all this gear. I got to do this. Blah, blah, blah. Or maybe they've already started a YouTube channel and they've had it up for, you know, a short time or maybe even a year. And they're like, my channel's not growing good, or, um, I'm kind of getting tired of doing this, or, because I'm not seeing the expectations that I would like to see. And so, what suggestions, being in this social media, and YouTube, not in YouTube, but also, there's so much other social media out there. You got X, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all this stuff. So, what kind of suggestions would you give to maybe somebody that wants to start or somebody that's already started and they're just really not getting anywhere? They feel like they're just spinning their wheels.
Well, if you want to start, first of all, there's really nothing to it. Most everybody has a smartphone nowadays. Smartphones, most all of them anymore, record perfectly acceptable video. So it's really not that difficult to get started. Now, I think you have to set realistic expectations when you go into social media because you see all these people, that are rich, popular and stuff. They have all these followers. Well, I can do that too. It's not that easy. There is no magic formula when you get on YouTube or anything else. Say, okay, if you do A, B, or C, then you're automatically going to take off and you're going to become popular. It doesn't work that way. I think, to me, the important thing is to set realistic expectations. What do you want to do? For me, it was never a goal to make a living from doing this. I don't need income from YouTube to survive. It's not, this is a hobby, but also you don't want to spend so much at it that it doesn't pay for itself, or
Yeah.
then it's a money pit. So you have to say, what do you want to do? Do you want to produce a lot of videos, just a few? Get in with some people who do the same thing you do, kind of like we do, where I've got you to bounce ideas off of. And I've called you before with various questions, and you've called
Yeah, and
me,
I've
and
called
I've
you,
called
yeah,
other
with a
people.
lot.
I wouldn't have survived. I wouldn't have stayed in this if I didn't have other creators that I've made friends with and everything else. People, you say, I'm having trouble with this. Have you ever tried to do this? And then they say, oh, yeah, here's how you do this.
So
And
networking, yeah.
networking is a very big deal if you want to really have fun with it. To me, that and the live stream things we do and stuff like that, but that's more leisure than it is anything else. But it's part of, for a lot of people anyway, it's part of your channel. I kind of have a combination of regular programming and live streams because I get bored doing any one thing all the time. So
Yeah.
some of my videos are goofy and fun, others are real serious, because if somebody's looking at a product, say a new knife or a new flashlight, they don't really want to hear your jokes at that time. Now, to me, you got to be comfortable being yourself on camera because I have never been good at acting like somebody else. I can only be me. Gizzard Gary is just an extension of me. It's just a name, but it's me on that camera at all times. I don't really play anybody. If I'm talking to you out on the street, we're probably going to talk the same and stuff like that. There's really nothing to it. Am I a little more careful on YouTube? Not you got to be careful what you say because certain things will get you in trouble and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you've got to know as a creator is know what the rules are. And when you sign up for a website, and they have rules, here's what you can do on a video, here's what you can't do. You better learn that. And if you have any questions, find other people that know them better than you do so they can help you and stuff like that. And after a while, like I say, network, learn the ropes, learn the rules, start off small. I would, and stuff like that. And see if you aren't where you're comfortable, I think. But yeah, to me, networking, if you get in with a group of people, then you can get in, you can get followers and stuff like that. Because the people who follow them will probably follow you. You promote each other and stuff like that. That's a lot of what we do here on YouTube is we promote each other's channels, promote each other's work. Because as a community, we're much stronger than any one of us could be by ourselves.
Yeah.
We can't do all that work, but a whole group of people can do an awful lot of work and stuff like that. So, and make it fun, because if you don't enjoy doing this, you're not going to be good at it, and you're probably not going to be doing it too long.
Exactly. And I heard the YouTuber Ginger Billy. I don't know if you know him. He's funny. He just started off, doing shorts at the beginning and all that. But I heard him on one of his videos say, he's going through comments. He goes, "People's asking me if this trailer house back here behind me is a prop." He goes, "No, that's where I live." And he goes, "These junk cars, or whatever." He goes, "I don't just go out and buy them. They're like cars that like we drove that tore up, or or I did, may turn one into a lawnmower because it wasn't street legal anymore, or whatever the case might be." And so, yeah.
And people see this room, it's like, this is I call it my studio. It's actually a spare bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got gun safes, it's got stickers and patches on the wall, signs and stuff. The rest of my apartment does not look like this. This is a place where I come to relax, be comfortable. I do videos here, I do my live streams here, but I do other things. I watch TV. I got to watch the Royals and the Chiefs and stuff like that. I've got to cook and eat every once in a while. And occasionally I leave and go see friends or buy things, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, if I'm doing YouTube stuff, it's more than likely right here. And I've been here almost 5 years. So,
yeah. And I think it's hard for, anybody starting out unless you're just, have plenty of experience, maybe on stage or acting, even though you're not acting and, most people's not acting in YouTube videos or whatever social media videos, but it's when you turn that phone on and hit record, it's like, it don't seem like there's no easy way through that other than just do it. I mean, you're going to feel silly, you're going back and watch that video you just recorded that you ain't posted yet. You're like, man, I don't really sound like that, or or whatever. And am I like, am I acting, too goofy? Maybe I need to act more professional, or like I know now for me, when I turn the camera on, I mean, it's not a big deal, But when I first started, it's like I just felt like this. I don't know what it was, this aura around me, like I don't know what to say next, or whatever.
You think everybody's staring at you. Do I have a hair out of place? How's my nose clean and stuff like that?
Hope I ain't got a booger or something somewhere. Yeah.
With the possible exception of a few people, most of us aren't, camera ready. Where I'm not anything special. I'm an old man, I've never been on TV or anything. I don't have a radio voice, any kind of radio voice. I used to talk a lot for a living when I answered phones, so I'm used to talking to people. And so I can explain things, I think, to where just about anybody can understand them. I do have that gift working as an IT support guy for a while. And I did do some classroom training out at work. So I have stood in front of a small group of people and talked, but they didn't record any of that stuff. So I've never really had to look at myself, on a screen until I started doing videos. It's like, is that what I look like? Yeah. And, but you got to get comfortable with that. And you realize other people don't look at you like you look at you. Uh, they're not looking at you like you're a star or anything like that. They're just wanting to learn information. They're wanting to be entertained. So, give them what they want. Be straight with people. Uh, I hate YouTube channels where somebody's either acting or they're saying something that isn't true. And those are out there, by the way. Uh, there are people who will demonstrate products, and darn good and well they're just being paid to say this or that. And I think you got to be honest with people when you do reviews. If people watch my knife reviews or flashlight reviews and they say, should I buy this? Hopefully I'm not telling them to buy something that's junk, or I'm not going to have a channel very long.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't do that to my friends. As far as I'm concerned, everybody who's watching my videos is a friend of mine, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I believe, for, the most part, I mean, big percentage of people, are really honest on like reviews and stuff they do and all that. So, yeah. Well, if you're out there wanting to start a social media channel or something like that, hopefully, we helped you some. Also, Gary, what's some like life suggestions for maybe somebody younger or somebody just starting over, financially? Also, like they're you've had a family and children and all, kids and all that you raised. I have and all that. But what would be some of the suggestions for like maybe somebody younger? When do you start saving? Like what kind of life suggestions can you give our viewers here?
Well, obviously, it's a different world now than when you and I was kids and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I was lucky enough to work for the same company for over 40 years, and they had a pension plan that I was vested in pretty much since the first year I worked there. Nowadays, most companies don't even have pension plans.
Yeah.
They have 401k plans, and you have to decide how much you're going to set aside, because there will come a time, for some people it's 50, some people it's 60, others work until they're 70 or so, but you're not going to be able to work the rest of your life. More than likely, you're not going to want to either. So you've got to be able to set aside enough money. And to me, I think I didn't do this, but most people I know did. And I would recommend, if you can swing it, get a financial advisor who can tell you what you're going to need to retire and stuff like that, and can help you plan ahead for stuff like that. As far as when to start saving, as soon as you can, for sure. Now, for me, I've raised kids. I started 25 when I had my son and stuff like that. And I didn't make a lot of money then, so I needed practically every penny I made, to get by
Mm-hmm.
back in those days. But when I was young, and I'm going to sound like an old fogey, back in my day, but we didn't. For the longest time, I had never owned a new car. I always drove something that was a few years old and stuff like that. Nowadays, kids, as soon as they get out on their own, they've got to have a nice place like their folks. They've got to drive a car like their folks. They extend themselves beyond their means an awful lot of times, and they get themselves in a financial burden. You have to live within your means. You can use credit. Credit's not necessarily a bad thing if you use it wisely. Use it wisely. Make yourself a plan that I'm going to pay for this in X amount of time, and stick to that at all times. Don't get yourself, because I've done it. I've gotten myself, in over my head with credit cards and everything else. It takes forever to get out from those holes. Don't do it if you can absolutely avoid it. I'm not saying don't buy anything. You'll probably never buy a car if you can't use credit. Most
Yeah.
people can't pay cash for a car or a house or anything like that. But you have to figure out, okay, I'm going to buy this house on a 15 or 20-year mortgage. And at this point, then I'll have it paid for. Can you swing that? Where are you going to be in 20 years? And stuff. You have to give things like that a lot of thought. As far as one master game plan, there's not one. You kind of have to feel your way through that. A lot depends on what you choose to do for a living, where you decide you're going to live. Cities obviously cost more than rural areas. Another great thing about living where I do is cost of living is not really that high. So a lot of people say, why would you want to live in a tiny little town? Well, I can get to a big town whenever I want to.
Yeah.
Kansas City is an hour and a half away from here. If I want to be in a big city, all I have to do is drive a little bit and I'm right there, so I can enjoy all the cool things I want to in the city and still live in a small town where it doesn't cost that much to live. Your crime rate's relatively low and stuff like that. That's something you're going to worry about once you get a family and stuff like that and you're raising your kids. Where are they going to go to school? Is it going to be safe for them? What are they going to do? A lot of things to think about. So if you're young, get your parents' advice, get your grandparents' advice, listen to people, find people you trust, people you look up to, trust them. And to me, there's a lot of things my dad told me advice wise that I didn't heed growing up that I wished I had.
Like, man, old man don't know nothing.
You found that entirely too late that your folks were right about a lot of things. And so, yeah, you've got to be out on your own. You've got to do your own thing. I understand that. But every time you get a chance, gain those little bits of knowledge and wisdom and keep them up in your head so you can pull those back out later and use them. And if you got questions, find somebody. There's people out there can help you. There's professionals, there's family members. Perhaps, if you go to church, there's people in your church that can help you and stuff like that. I'm not telling people how to live their lives. Sometimes that's helpful for some people. So surround yourself by people who live the kind of life you look up to.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's 100%. I mean, probably don't go to the, homeless person and ask them for financial advice, maybe.
Probably not.
But, yeah. And like I've heard, said before, and it's like, this credit card, it has, cash back. So if I use it, then I can build up cash back. Well, you need to make that payment at the end of the month or whatever. And so, if you're in a situation like that and you want to build your credit, so what are you paying every month? Maybe your cell phone bill, your electric bill, a few things like that. So you can put that on that cash back, put a couple of those on that cash back credit card, and then pay it at the end of the month and don't blow that money. And then you're building your credit and you're getting some cash back. And also on like 401ks and, and stuff like that, if you're working for a company, I'm definitely no financial advisor or nothing like that, and neither is Gary. But my suggestion to my kids and anybody that's ever asked me this, because I do trade stocks and stuff like that, but if a company's going to match a certain amount of money, if you don't do anything, at least do that.
Because that's free money, folks.
That's free money. I mean, if they're going to match $50 a month, well, put $50 a month in. I mean,
a lot of companies will do that.
Free money. And, and I think some people don't think about it that way. But
you're not getting it now, but you'll get it later. And trust me, every dollar you save, if they invest with a reputable company that, goes into mutual funds and stuff, that will multiply over time.
Oh, yeah.
And that little bit you save will turn into a lot if everything goes well by the time you retire and stuff like that. And then you'll be able not necessarily are you going to get a sailboat and live on a, you know, a remote island or something like that and have $1 million mansion. I know a lot of people have those dreams in retirement and stuff like that, but you also got to figure out what you want to do in retirement. Do you want to travel the world? Do you just want to live comfortably? For me, I just want to live comfortably.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of traveling and stuff, nothing extravagant or anything like that. So,
Well, I know people like I think like maybe at my age, when I see somebody older than me, they invest in something or whatever, and it's like, oh man, I wish I would have done that. They were lucky to get that at their age, but there's stuff all the time. I mean, I don't know these numbers to be fact, but I did hear this, on another podcast, and they were talking about Forrest Gump, and actually they're interviewing Gary Sinise, and they said that one of them had actually done the numbers. They said so when Forrest Gump first come out, and most all of us know when Forrest Gump come out, right? After that movie, well, during that movie, he said, Lieutenant Dan said they invested their money in a fruit company, which was Apple,
mm-hmm.
and if you would have, according to them, if you would have took $1,000 and invested in Apple after you watch that movie, today that'd be worth over $1 million.
Wow.
So there's opportunities like, us, when that movie came out, we were younger or whatever. We never thought, this is an opportunity, and it's from a movie, just, so those chances come along all the time. So don't think you got left out because, somebody older did that and they're like, oh, there's no, those opportunities ain't no more. I mean, Amazon, they're not all that old. I mean, there's lots of stuff out there, um, that everybody has an opportunity, stuff that's coming up that we don't know yet right now, that can be invested in, at a good price. And, if you leave it, then it's going to, grow on you, same as your 401k or any of that stuff. But Gary,
No.
man, thank you so much for being here this
Yeah.
evening. And we are going to jump over to the after show. Now, what this is Cooter is going to do the after show. So after we end this, I'm going to holler at Cooter. He's going to come in. We're going to do the after show. And you think, well, where can I watch this after show at? We're doing this as a premium for our members of the channel. And so as soon as this channel can get memberships, it'll be on here. But until then, it'll be over on my other channel, American Hillbilly. It'll be on American Hillbilly here. But until then, when we get to I want to start that over here. So where can you watch that? Well, right now you can watch it on Hillbilly Up. It's for the members over there. They'll get to watch Cooter's after show. And as soon as this channel, American Hillbilly, reaches a point where it can have memberships, then those will be for this channel too. So that's how you get to watch Cooter's after show with Gary. And I also want to thank real quick before we go, the sponsor for this podcast, Patriot Mobile. Guys and girls, we all have cell phones and we all pay cell phone bills. We don't know what happens with that money after we pay the bill, what that company does with it. Well, Patriot Mobile, they're, as far as I know, they're the only Christian conservative company out there, and they support our First Amendment, our Second Amendment, our military, our first responders. There's discounts actually for them. And so they put that money towards stuff that, me and my family like, I mean, love our First Amendment or Second Amendment and all that stuff. And so one good thing about this company is there's no contract. I love that part. Also, you can keep your number, you can keep your phone, whatever you want to do, or they have phones you can buy from them or whatever the case might be. but you get to choose whatever carrier that has towers in your area. So out of the major carriers, whatever towers are in your area that gets the best phone signal, you get to choose them. And you're that's who you use there, for Patriot Mobile, those towers in your area. I know we got stuck once before with a 2-year contract, and that company didn't have any towers in our area. They told us they did, but I mean, our phones were terrible, couldn't call out, drop calls, all that stuff. So make sure you check out Patriot Mobile and use code Hillbilly, and you get your first month's free. And again, I want to thank Patriot Mobile for sponsoring this podcast. And Gary, we're going to see you over in the after show with Cooter. So,
all right.
Anyway, you'll say bye to everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
We'll see y'all later. Make somebody's day better, will you?